when's the last time I took a photo of him? What's the last picture I took? Screw the last picture. What did I do this morning? And I was trying to retrace my morning. Like, did I look at him this morning? Like, I was just going about my errands, and then the panic inside of me. What was that last morning? Hello. This is the Help Me See podcast, and I'm your host, Bianca Mora. I'm an artist, educator, and self-admitted, highly functioning, anxiety-ridden mama who's obsessed with making meaning and art out of this one and only life. Something that seriously pains me is hearing someone say, I just wish I knew how important that was at the time. Or when I lay my head down at night and I think about all the times during the day with my kids that I was anything but present. It's exhausting, but I really believe that there's comforting news here. I believe that if we continue having conversations about intention and awareness, we can live more fulfilled lives and create amazing work. I hope you leave each episode feeling inspired by your everyday and a deep peace of knowing that you're not missing it. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk about everything that's right in front of us. Oh boy, episode number 1. That's intimidating. It's like a writer looking at a blank page. It's so hard just to start. Just starting. It all feels so big because it all feels so important to me, and I want to say it all, but it's just too much. So when I think about what I want to say in the first episode, not that the order really matters, I think it's important to talk about my why. And it feels very vague, which is against everything you ever learn when it comes to talking about, a point that you want to get across. You have to be specific. But I find that when I try hard to adhere to any sort of rules, I always dig myself in a hole. Ever since I can remember, since I've started making memories as a human, I don't even know what age that really is, I have always been really afraid of so many things. I mean, I was in first grade. I was never afraid of the boogeyman or anything whimsical. I was asking my parents if they locked the door while they were putting me to bed. I've always been deeply rooted in reality. Even my dreams, they're like documentary films. There's nothing fun about them. And I've always been a little bit annoyed at myself because I don't know where it came from. I don't have a right to, I don't feel that I have a right to be so neurotic in the ways that I am, because thankfully, up until this point in my life, knock on wood and everything, I haven't experienced a lot of loss, and I haven't experienced a lot of heavy things that would make me function the way that I do in the world and in my brain. Until recently, with the loss of my dog, Tyson. That was the worst I've ever felt in my whole life. I mean, the loss of him will just never go away. It'll never leave me. And I mean, I prefer it that way. I don't want to not feel that pain. I mean, I know he wouldn't want me to feel pain, but for me, the pain in my stomach that I feel whenever I think about him, it just symbolizes love healthy or not. But the reason I want to talk about Tyson is because, while I was reflecting about him and his life and our relationship, I realized that he symbolized so much of what I aspire to be and do in this life. And the fact that he's not here makes it more important than ever and harder than ever to keep that up. I am a very anxious person. I'm trying to work through it. I get stressed. I feel pretty manic. I'm always have a million things going on in my head. And with him, I loved him so much and so hard in a way that I could be into the vortex doing what I was doing. And if I just caught him in the side of my eye, just laying down on the couch, I could just stop what I was doing and just put my face in his neck and just like breathe into him. There was just no words for how much I loved him. I mean, I would look at him and just feel pain, like an ache, because it hurt how much I loved him. Like when I would pet him, I would look in his eyes and I would I sound crazy. I would whisper in his ear, I love you, I love you, I love you. And when I laid on him or when I pet him, it's just like I couldn't pet him hard enough. He just gave me such a peace, and he pulled such an intentionality out of me. And I'm sure a big part of it is, because I had a heightened awareness of the brevity of a dog's life. It's like the most unfair thing in the world. If anything, dogs should be living forever. If they choose to. So maybe that's just something that I always had in the back of my mind that made me love him harder. But, we never know. We never know. Dog, human, cat, whatever. You just never know. So the idea of loving harder should just be for the sake of loving harder, not because you're paranoid about the time ticking on a clock. So naturally, through the years, I photographed him a lot. I took many videos, many selfies with him. I guess that slowed down a little bit once my son was born, and then my second. I didn't have the crazy amount that I did before that, but I did still keep taking pictures and videos of him. And the morning he passed, it was actually early afternoon, I had to go to like the eyeglass store, and I was gone a little bit longer than I would have been that morning. Thank goodness Cassius was in his room napping, and he just fell over. It was out of nowhere. They think he threw a clot, so there was no warning at all. He would have been 8. It was pretty traumatic. My partner tried everything, and there was just nothing. It was instant. So after the absolute hell of taking him to the vet, like driving there, I mean, it was I guess it's still too fresh. I can't really talk about it. But we got home and I started panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, like, I didn't take a picture of him today. Well, pause. I did take a picture of the back of his head as he was laying there before they wheeled him off, because I'm morbid and I just couldn't not have one last photo of him. But I was just thinking, when's the last time I took a photo of him? What's the last picture I took? But screw the last picture. What did I do this morning? And I was trying to retrace my morning. Like, did I look at him this morning? Like, I was just going about my errands, and then the panic inside of me, what was that last morning? And then I had this sigh of relief, this huge sigh of relief. And I remembered, of course, he was laying at the foot of the bed and laying and staring out the window. He had like a little pond in the backyard, and he was just staring. And I cuddled with him. I kissed his nose. I held his face, and I looked in his eyes, and I told him I loved him. Obviously, I had no idea what was to come. Wow, this is like the most depressing first podcast episode ever. I should be nominated. And also, I'm sure it's really not fun listening to someone cry in your headphones or your car. I digress. All that to say, of course, I had an intentional morning with him, because that is what he pulled out of me always. Always. And it was effortless with him. He was like canine Xanax or something. I don't know. He just had a way of bringing me to my center. And the way I felt for him, and the way that I was able to live because of him, is how I want to be for the rest of my life with everyone that I care about and cherish. So there's that. There's the actual experience of living that showed me that this is what I want to be. And then there was the realization of this notion in my mind on creating this like obsessive stockpile archive of memories and images and videos and you name it, whatever other things I hoard. They were all there, and I was almost scared. Half of me was like frantic to go look at them, and the other half of me was just too scared and didn't want to. But it did function the way that I thought it would. I know as I'm taking all these pictures of my family and my loved ones that I'm creating like a safe haven for myself for the, God forbid, worst case scenarios. Like, that's just part of my DNA. That is just the way I think. And this is like the first time that I've ever had to really use my work as a crutch in that severe of a way. And it's hard, but it's also beautiful because photographs change in time. The meaning changes, what you see changes. It's just, not to be corny, but I just find them to be so fascinating and so transcendent. This image was nothing before, but now it is everything. I didn't think of this like this, but now I do. Or, wow, looking at the 4,000 pictures I took, I'm noticing this huge common thread, like all of that. And these are only things that you get to experience when you have material to look back on, have documentation to look back on. And this is such a huge reason why I want to do this, and I want to talk about this, and I want to make the courses and do the workshops. I cannot bear the thought of nothingness without something to be able to look back on. I'm a photographer. I love taking photographs for families. But no matter what, I'm not going to be able to take the absolute most raw, real moments of your life. That's going to be you. It just is. And that's why I want to empower people to think differently about the way that they're choosing to document their lives and the way that they're, even outside of physically documenting, just the way that they're choosing to register their life. Just having this intentionality lens over your eyeballs, like the way I did when I was with my dog, of reverence for the moments, for all of the moments, especially the understated moments. I was in this business program, and one of the lovely people I got to meet, she said something broke me in two. It just really pains me to hear these things, but she did say it in such a lovely way. She was saying how she had all the pictures of her kids on the first day of school and the holidays and the this and the that. She's like, but she would trade them all just for a few photos or some video of her kids just sitting at the table eating breakfast, or just the nothingness of that. I'm not going to combat the fact that there's definitely a need and a purpose for the sweet staged photos, the clean portraits, looking right at the camera. I get it. I'm there for it. I want them to. I have them too. But acknowledging that those aren't the actual real moments of your life that you're going to want. It's kind of easy to think about what your loved one looks like standing there smiling, but to have a home video or a photograph of them being caught in the most natural, unaware state, there's something magical about it. And I think that we all just need to tune in to a frequency that enables us to see and live in that space. And then we can pick and choose when we want to take the photo or take the video or make the art about that moment. For me, a lot of it is rooted in being so afraid of missing out, of having regrets, of just not being aware and present during the most important things in my life. Coming back to Tyson, I don't think I can say about anything else in my life, not even about with my children, I don't have any regrets with him. I couldn't have loved him harder. I probably couldn't have kissed him more. I couldn't have held his face more. There weren't days that I just ignored him. You know what I mean? Like, it is so painful for him to not be here. But this feeling of strange comfort, encircled in the grief of him not being here, but the comfort and the shock, really, of being able to look back on my experience in this life with this creature that I love so much and to not have regrets about it. Like, that is amazing. I couldn't say that about anything else right now. I will spend the rest of my life thinking more about that and finding ways to echo the energy of that in all that I do. Oh, I love that dog. P.S. We do have a new dog. We got him about a month after Tyson passed. His name is Miles. He threw me into an identity crisis. Objectively and intellectually, I understand that no dog is the same and blah, blah, blah. And puppies are hard work. But I thought that I'm just a person who loves all dogs, and I rescue dogs, and I this and I that. And Miles annoyed me very much as a puppy. I ended up having like baby blues when I got that puppy. We are doing much better. I have come around. He's a sweet, sweet boy. I just really miss my Tyson. We're more on the same level. Tyson was a little bit more of a nervous Nelly Eeyore type at times, and I don't know, maybe Miles is just too happy for me. Well, anyway, thank you. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. I mean, if you've made it this far, I actually apologize to you for crying in your ear, but let me know if you have questions or if you have comments. I look forward to continuing to dig deeper into what this all means and more about fun stuff and how we can actually take small, actionable steps that lead to just huge rewards later through documenting this life and through just having that lens. Thanks so much for listening, and I will catch you next time. Okay, well, that was a wrap on episode number 1. I hope I didn't scare you away and you can come back for some more conversations that I promise will probably be more fun. If you're looking to find out more information and want to get on my email list, you can go to my website at www.biancaliamora.com. And if you like the podcast, give it a subscribe and feel free to leave a review. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time.